So like hearing Phyllis's comment about that she thought she knew us. That's kind of like been the goal of this, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you just kick me on purpose?
And I told her, Brianna, that there are people who don't believe you,
Yeah.
I think we're live.
We are. Brianna just kicked me.
I thought you were going to say something fast.
She kicked me.
I was like, don't spoil it. I thought you were going to spoil it.
I'm not spoiling anything.
I apologize to my friends out there who might be watching who work in TV production. We are not TV production people. We should probably be professional and be like 5, 4, 3, 2. But
and hello.
Close this to be professional with our YouTube channel.
Yeah, my YouTube channel that now gets more hits than it ever has in its entire life.
Good.
For a good cause, indeed.
I'm kicking.
Your foot is on.
Oh no, I'm twitching. My leg is twitching. I was like, what?
Oh, it's 8 o'clock.
It's 8 o'clock. We should start on time. We have one watching now.
One watching.
Probably Peter.
Yeah.
Say hi, Peter. How are you?
Let me see.
Oh, you should go on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna see. Ow.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I guess people should skip. For those watching, I guess it's Peter. Hi, Peter.
Hello, Peter.
This is our curtain speech. If you are just joining us, we do this in theater. I hate them. I like to record them, but I got told that that's rude and you should just do them. But we're doing it. I am Jessica Lopez Barkle. I am the theater program director at SUNY Sullivan. I am also the associate professor of theater and speech there. This show that you are about to see live is a staged reading of a play called Thank You, I'm Sorry, a world premiere by Brianna Warden and Jana Walter, who are sitting in the tile next to me, I think, in my view. Yes, in your view as well. And beneath us is Brandon Sparkman, who is the composer. And someone you can't see.
So just funny because he hates me.
Is Wilana Burdick, our fearless stage manager. A staged reading, for those of you unfamiliar with live theater, is where we read the script to get feedback about it. And therefore, after this particular show, you are welcome to stay and have a talk back with us. We will be looking in the chat to see any questions you may or may not have. Oh, Amazi has joined us. Hi, Amazi. So we are interested in your feedback. You could also just tell us what you thought about the production. That is also useful to us. Because this is live on Zoom in our home theaters that we have adjusted in our living rooms, our bedrooms, our dining rooms, we could, in fact, have issues with dogs, babies, people mowing lawns. Probably not today, though. Nor'easters cause people not to want to do
plows, maybe.
Tomorrow.
But with that said, we are having a lot of weather here in the Catskills of New York, and it is possible, and we were experiencing this, some delays, etc. So if you see me start to dance when it's getting particularly inappropriate for me to be dancing, it's because we have a move here with SUNY Sullivan, because our Wi-Fi is not very good in this area, where we have a buffer dance. I came up with this with Tyler Young when I first started working here. So we will do a buffer dance in the hopes that we will distract you while we wait for the bandwidth, etc., to rejoin the 21st century. It may never do that. The hope of this production is for it to be live on a stage. And in that way, we would be having set design and projection design and sound design. Today, you'll get a taste of that. We hope at some point that this black screen behind me will actually be the cyclorama at the back of the stage, which as we go through Brianna and Jana's journey through neurological fibromatosis that why do I say neurological neural fibromatosis? I don't know why that just happened. I don't know that I'm having a neurological moment. Neurofibromatosis. Been saying it for months. What the heck? Okay.
I love you.
So their journey through neurofibromatosis, you will see thought bubbles going on the screen, and it will look very similar to the birthmarks that are not birthmarks. They're called cafe au lait spots that people with NF have, and that will be a part of the projection design. That can't happen in a Zoom environment. So in my tile, you will be seeing some of the projection design, but it won't have that enormity that it would have as the show goes on and as those thought bubbles start to really populate the back of the screen. I did learn today something new, that if you have more than 7 cafe au lait spots, that it is indicative of possibly neurofibromas, which are the tumors. So the more thought bubbles that Brianna gets as the play goes on, the more you can put into place that she has neurofibromas too, which is also a fact. We pay for our ASCAP license and our BMI license at SUNY Sullivan, which allows us a little bit of room to play certain songs, etc. We are not trying to offend anybody by playing any of those songs. And if you are, please write me a note. I would love to respond to that. There are going to be some images that are medical in nature and could be maybe shocking. They're all true. They're all, for the most part, Brianna. So just a blanket warning that if you don't like things that might be on Grey's Anatomy or ER, for those of you who are old like me, then and Jana, okay, Gen X, man, we can do it. All right, so X, no hugs anymore, just X's. Those will be happening. I am giving the weirdest curtain speech today for the 2 people watching.
There are
7.
7.
Well, my sister's 2.
Crashing regularly.
The most important part I want to say today is that if this were at the theater and you were in the lobby at the Selig Theater in SUNY Sullivan, we would have asked you to give us a suggested $10 donation that we would be giving to the Children's Tumor Foundation. And that is still something that we hope that you will be willing to do. And Peter has already popped up with the Tiltify link, which you can donate right now, because we can pretend that I was out in the lobby collecting money and you're going to give it to Peter in Tiltify. He put it in the link for YouTube. So please do that if you can. I know these are tough times for everyone, but people still have NF. People are still dealing with cancer, and people still have to somehow pay for these extraordinary surgeries and procedures and monitorings that happen. Brianna had to deal with that even just this week. Scary trip up to Boston to do all the things she needs to do. We'll tell you about that later, or they will.
Yes.
I mean, just to give it a little bit of perspective, like, do you even know how much one of your procedures cost?
1 MRI, and her brain is considered 1, her chest is considered 2, and her this arm is considered 3. So
Yeah,
she could be in an MRI for 6 hours, but they bill those 3 things separately, and they're each without any kind of extra radiation to be able to look at it, contrast. They're about $18,000 each.
So yeah, our goal is $10,000, and we wouldn't even have been able to pay for one of Brianna's MRIs this week.
What's important is that that money from CTF goes directly to research to find a treatment and a cure. So
yeah, so we don't have to have those $18,000.
Really
And if you see us, we are wearing the colors of NF month. NF in general, actually, but we are in NF month, which is when we had hoped to premiere this play, and we are premiering it just in a different platform. So if you want to join us in your house and put on some blue and green, you can do it. You can also buy these shirts online. They just take a bit.
Flags. We have a flag outside our house that says End NF.
You also have lights. They went nuts. We should put a picture.
I went nuts. Actually, I'll send you a picture.
All right. With all of that said, I have been my tradition has been to read the prologue from Shakespeare's Henry V, which I started teaching, strangely, right as the shelter in place had happened. And the prologue started to mean quite a bit as I moved into having rehearsals 4+ hours a night, Monday through Friday, with this show and our other show, which will have its final performance tomorrow at 8 p.m. On Facebook Live. So you are welcome to join us for that as well. But this idea that we know that this is not the solution to live theater, but that this is where we're at right now. And well, I'll let it speak for itself. Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. A kingdom for a stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. I'm gonna skip ahead. But pardon, gentles all, the flat, unraised spirits that hath dared on this unworthy scaffold to bring forth so great an object. I'm gonna skip ahead again. Let us, ciphers, to this great accompt on your imaginary forces work. I'm gonna skip ahead again. Admit me, chorus or projection lady, to this history, who prologue like your humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge, or I'll have Peter shut you down. He's our troll tracker. Our play. As always, you probably are getting sick of hearing this on all of the platforms of people who have still continued to do things on nightly television, etc. But please be safe, be well. It's Nurses Week. Stay inside. You are just protecting Jana. You are protecting Brianna, and you will hear that. And all that pandemic stuff that happened this week is dumb. Don't be dumb. Stay inside. Protect our vulnerable people, our vulnerable populations, and protect our healthcare workers who are working their butts off, and they don't need this to surge again or mutate. So keep your butts inside, please.
Thank you.
$10 if you can.
Thank You, I'm Sorry by Brianna Warden and Jenna Walter. Music by Brandon Sparkman. Dramaturg and director Jessica Lopez Barkle. Stage manager Wilana Burdick.
I had brought her to an orthopedic locally, and he took off her shirt to examine her, and he saw all these spots on her body that we now know are called cafe au lait spots. And he said, does she have neurofibromatosis?
I'll never forget sitting in the pediatrician's office, and he took out his pen and he started counting the cafe au lait spots. And I knew immediately that he was going to tell me something was wrong. And he did. He said, I think your daughter has neurofibromatosis.
Neurofibromatosis, or NF as it's commonly known, is a group of 3 disorders. NF can cause tumors to grow pretty much anywhere in the nervous system. And in addition to that, it can cause bone abnormalities, bone dysplasia. What that really means is that the cells in the body are cycling out of control. The cells that are causing tumors are dividing too many times. They're growing and growing and growing. I always think of those freeway signs, that the exits and the entrances that say 1 car can enter at a time. What happens in your body in NF is that the cars are just going and going and going. That's happening inside the cell.
So the surgeries I've had have been, I guess, pretty major surgeries. The first one was to remove the tumor on my left auditory nerve, which left me deaf in my left ear. And a couple of years after that, I had surgery on my left optical nerve, which left me blind in that eye and left the muscle for the eyelid paralyzed as well.
Well, the mission of the Children's Tumor Foundation has 4 parts. First and foremost, we are a research organization. We fund research, of which we are the largest non-government funder of NF research in the world. We also promote research by others, and now really working with pharmaceutical companies to get them to work on therapeutics for NF. On our website, we have a discussion board with over 200,000 postings about NF. We offer chat rooms that really are used worldwide. Patient support. We work through our chapters and affiliates nationwide to create a series of patient support and symposia. And then lastly, to support NF clinics.
Well, NF is about 1 in every 3,000 births. Having a foundation where you can talk to literally hundreds or thousands of people, and everyone, because they understand what you're going through, is very eager and willing to help you out.
I think what we're really trying to do is to really empower people to devote themselves to what we're doing and to really get behind the Children's Tumor Foundation in their stewardship. Because what it means is we're not just asking for their money, but we're asking them to believe in what we're doing and to dedicate their time, their talent, and their treasure to our purpose. From the day that we find a cure, who knows whose dollar it is that's going to find that. Hopefully that somebody who gives that money is going to really call it their legacy. They helped cure neurofibromatosis. What did you do in your lifetime?
I'm confident that when they find a cure for neurofibromatosis or find treatment for it, it's going to be because of the Children's Tumor Foundation.
Scene 1. Eight-year-old Brianna is staring up at the shadows of the tall men, a group of physicians who study neurofibromatosis. Brianna is holding her favorite stuffed pig, Wilbur. Her mother, Jana, stands behind her. Jana hands Brianna the microphone and she begins to address the physicians.
Hi, my name is Brianna Warden. I'm 8 years old and I'm from upstate New York. I was wondering, why am I so different from everyone in my family? Why am I the only one who has tumors? Why did God make me different? Did I do something wrong?
Monster, freak, soft skin. I thought you started chemo already. Are you really sick? Why did you cut and take the color out of your hair? Did you know there is something wrong with your arm? Oh, are you a burn victim? Do you have Ebola? Do you have MRSA? Do you have COVID-19? Should you be parking there? I thought you were getting your arm amputated. Listen to that. Big news about NF. World's ugliest man. Biggest tumor. If you don't forward this, you'll have bad luck.
Picture of a man with NF holding other children who also have NF. Scene 2.
You're running out. When I thought he was mine, she caught him by the mouth. I waited 8 long months, she finally set him free. I told him I couldn't lie, he was the only one for me. 2 weeks a week, caught on fire. She's got it out for me, but I wear the biggest smile. Whatever meant to break, but I got him where I want him now. It was never my intention to break. Steal it all away from you now. Because it feels so good. Cause I got him where I want him now. And if you could, then you know you would. It's gotta just feel so. It just feels so.
That day was the start of it all, the beginning of our mask wearing. Shortly after, we filmed that first PSA video for NF Awareness. Together, Brianna and I made it part of our life's mission to teach as many as we could about her disorder, while at the same time, fight for a cure. What I didn't realize was that by taking on this role, Brianna and I would be forced to hide our emotions from the rest of the world in order to protect them from the seriously depressing circumstances that we often face together. I was her age.
Brianna morphs to young Jana and gets car seat with infant Brianna.
23. When my world came crashing down. Bree was just 2 months old at the time, and I was detached and full of anxiety. You see, I had been saying that there was something wrong with her from the moment that she was born. And then one night, after having begged her pediatrician for an x-ray, he called me to tell me that Brianna had a spiral fracture to her upper arm. He said he reported me to Child Protective Services and that they would be contacting me. I fought for weeks to get this pediatrician to tell me what was wrong, to order x-rays, and now I was being brought up on child abuse charges. I look at Brianna today, and she still seems so young and so naive. The reality? It's like looking in the mirror.
Scene 3. Year is 1997. Jana, age 23, played by Brianna, holding a 2-month-old infant. Jana is at a karate class for her younger brother.
Dr. P? Hi. Dr. P, hi.
Hi.
I'm really sorry to bother you. I know you're not working and you probably want to watch your child practice his forms, but do you think we could please talk for a couple of minutes?
Sure. Are you okay?
I'm not sure.
You're shaking.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry. This is my baby, Brianna.
She's beautiful. She's perfect. Congratulations.
Thank you. I know. That's what everybody keeps saying. She's beautiful, and she is. I think that she is the most beautiful baby. But you see, she was born with all these birthmarks, these spots, and her left arm is completely different in the color than the rest of her body. And I asked her doctor and the nurses, and they said it's newborn discoloration. And then I found these lumps in her left arm, and I begged her doctor to give me an x-ray, and he wouldn't, only until one lump turned into 3. So then I had the x-ray, and he calls me at 11 p.m. last night to tell me she has, I don't know, a spiral fracture. I had a 23-hour labor with her, and I pushed her for 4 hours. I would never hurt her. He said the Child Protective Services would likely be visiting us. What do I do? Who do I take her to? I would never hurt her. I had been saying that there's something wrong with her since the day she was born.
Okay. First of all, I need you to take a breath and relax. I am not a pediatric orthopedic, but I have colleagues who can help. Why don't you let me take a look at her? You mentioned that she has some birthmarks.
Yes.
Can you show me?
Want to look at her right here?
Jana removes the swaddling and then starts to undress the baby. They are still in the parking lot of the karate school. Dr. P touches the infant's left arm and sees multiple birthmarks on the infant's torso and back. She has a very concerned look on her face.
Did you get a copy of the x-rays yet?
No, I didn't know you could get a copy of it.
Did you have it done at the local hospital?
Yes, it was done at the hospital, but again, I didn't know you could get
Okay, okay, no worries. You can. It may cost you $10, but I want you to go up to the hospital right now and get a copy of that x-ray, and then can you meet me at my office, say around 1 p.m.?
Yes.
I'd like my colleague to get a look at Brianna with me. We're going to help you.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
I'll get it now and I'll see you at 1.
See you at 1.
Thank you.
Jana arrives at Dr. P's office. She has a copy of the x-ray. She's anxiously sitting in the waiting room with Brianna in her arms. She and Brianna are called back to an exam room.
Hi, thanks for picking up those x-rays. I'm going to take them into the other room for just a minute and have my partner take a look if that's okay with you.
Of course, whoever can help. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, if you could, while I'm out, could you just get her undressed down to her diaper and I'll be back to examine her in just a few minutes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Jana can hear the physicians talking outside the door. Their words are muffled. They are using terms that are difficult for her to understand. After a few short minutes, Dr. P returns to the exam room.
Jana, my partner and we took a look at those x-rays and he shares in my concern.
I could hear you talking and I don't understand. What is wrong with my baby?
I'm sorry. Jana, has anyone in your family ever had birthmarks like these or problems with tumors?
No, and that's why I'm so concerned. Tumors? Did you just say tumors? Wait. Do you think she has tumors? I had an aunt who had breast cancer and a cousin who had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. What do you think she has?
No. It's not cancer. I think Brianna may have neurofibromatosis. It's a genetic disorder that can cause tumors to grow on the nerves throughout the body. One of the symptoms are those birthmarks that you see. They're called cafe au lait spots. And that skin discoloration also. I think that the lumps in her arm may be the beginning of some tumors. I can't tell without an MRI, but what I can tell on that x-ray is that her arm is not fractured. You see, the bone of her arm, it's concave on both sides, and those markings along, they're called striations. They may be, well, they're more than likely from the neurofibromas or tumors that are developing in her arm. I would like you to follow up with a colleague of mine at Westchester Medical Center. He's a pediatric orthopedic. We're also going to help you organize appointments with a geneticist, pediatric neurologist, all in Westchester. And you know, I will also contact Child Protective Services to let them know that they were misinformed.
Thank you. I'm sorry. You know, the pediatrician mentioned some disorder, but he said that she can't have it because her father doesn't have it and I don't have it. I just wonder if that's what he was talking about. I'm sorry. Can you please write it down for me?
Sure.
It's neurofibromatosis.
Dr. P writes neurofibromatosis and hands it to Jana. Thought bubble projecting the word neurofibromatosis.
Thank you. I'm sorry. What do I expect? Is she going to die?
Unfortunately, there are no two cases of neurofibromatosis that are identical. It's very difficult for us to tell what life will bring. Some people have very few complications and others have many complications. But you know, I think it's best for you to wait to see what the specialist has to say. And I would avoid doing too much research on your own. You know, there's a lot of frightening and inaccurate information out there. This isn't going to be easy, but we're here to help you.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Jana looks down at infant Brianna with more fear in her than she has ever felt before in her life. Projection of real Jana, age 23, with infant Brianna.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby.
As young Jana / Bree continues, Jana steps behind her. The following is accompanied by photos and thought bubbles to explain the technical term.
I was told not to look anything up. To let the experts teach me about NF. I couldn't help myself. I needed to get as much information as I possibly could. And that was a mistake. I read things like
3 types: NF1, NF2, and schwannomatosis, also called von Recklinghausen's disease, a genetic disorder that causes the growth of tumors on the nerves.
this disease can also affect the skin, cause bone deformities, may cause tumors in the brain,
Can lead to blindness and deafness. Joseph Merrick,
known as the Elephant Man, suffered from von Recklinghausen's disease.
disfigured, a monster, pain, seizures.
Hold, I think we're out of it. Okay, no zoom up. Elephant Man found dead in his hospital bed, asphyxiated due to neck dislocation from the bone deformity.
Neurofibromatosis. 50% chance of all patients have learning disabilities.
Neurofibromatosis and cancer. Neurofibromatosis and death. Average 8 to 15 years younger than the healthy human, with the exception of those with plexiform neurofibromas.
Plexiform neurofibromas become cancerous. Plexiform neurofibromas are inoperable tumors that cause severe pain.
Loss of limbs, disfigurement, death. Neurofibromatosis worsens with age, the onset of puberty, and pregnancy.
50% chance of passing the NF gene to each affected patient's offspring. No treatment. No cure. My beautiful baby is going to grow into a freak. A monster.
And
she's
she's
going to die.
Scene 4. At the top of every scene, Jana and Brianna will pick a top 10 rant from their end NF buckets.
You want to go first? You want me to go first? I didn't become a child life specialist.
I lost friendships.
Brianna transitions out of young Jana to her present day self.
There are several truths that parents, dare I say it, particularly mothers of chronically ill children, have that we hide from the rest of the world. There are so many things that I have wanted to shout out, but I have kept hidden in order to not offend another human. First, the Elephant Man did not have neurofibromatosis. He had Proteus syndrome. Entirely different. Second, do you know how often I've heard, "You are so strong. I don't know how you do it." Truth? I don't know how we've done it. I don't remember half of my life because the stress has been so much at times that my brain has been wiped clean, like the hard drive of a computer. Like stuff was never there, like it never happened. The truth? I feel like I'm drowning almost every single day. Like Bree, I put on a smile to protect others from the horrific fear and pain that we have. I tend to isolate myself. And no matter how many times I am offered help, I always feel alone. I secretly suffer from depression. Sometimes it's severe.
Did you know that there's a high rate of attempted suicide among mothers of chronically ill children?
My relationships have been a mess. And I'm aware that it's not one of our fault more than the other. It takes two. Marriages fail. Particularly of parents dealing with a sick child. One parent is the caregiver. And the other, well, in my case, I'm the caregiver. And all I'm going to say is that I've always been so jealous of the other parents in the hospital waiting rooms. You know, the ones that are holding each other up as they anxiously wait to hear if their child has survived surgery. I've sat alone for literally hundreds of hours waiting to find out if she would walk again, if they got all the cancer out of her body, not one, but 3 cancerous tumors, waiting to hear the words, "She made it out of surgery. She's waking up and she's waiting to see you in recovery." Actually, no matter what they say, all I hear is she's not dead. Experiences like that do thicken your skin. In my case, my skin may be so thick, it makes me impossible to be loved.
Parents of chronically ill children tend to distance themselves from everyone, whether it might be their spouses, family, friends. They do this for 2 reasons. 1, they're afraid that the illness is just far too much for people to handle, or 2, they don't want to be a burden. Life with a chronically ill child is exhausting.
That reminds me, please don't forget about the other children. Do you know how many times people ask me about Brianna? Only Like Robbie, Brandon, and Jace just don't exist. I often answer about Bree, and then I chime in with the update about my guys. While I'm ranting, I should probably let you know that parents of sick children cannot stand the phrase, God only gives you what you can handle. Seriously?
Seriously.
Do you think that phrase is calming? Seriously?
Seriously. We feel like the weight of the world is upon us.
We live in constant fear of the unknown.
A life of chronic anxiety.
And that's the go-to advice that everyone seems to want to give.
And I just want to scream.
I can't handle this.
Keep it PG.
Okay,
Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
But listen, seriously, that phrase doesn't give us resolve. It cuts through us.
Like a knife. And until this moment,
I've never shared these feelings. I just continue to wear my Mop and Glow smile.
and go on pretending like life is perfect. I mean, isn't it?
She's in pain every day. She takes chemotherapy twice a day, a clinical trial of a drug we know little about. We live in constant fear of what is going to go wrong next. I care for her. I care for my 3 sons. I worry about what's going to go wrong with their health. I care for my husband. I work a full-time job, caring for as many other people and their children as I possibly can.
Mom.
What?
You forgot to mention that in this process, you became a nurse.
In
And we're
this
proud of you.
process, I became a nurse. Thank you for that.
Take a deep breath. I am thankful for you, and I'm sure many are too.
Life is good, right? The truth?
The truth.
If I believed that God could give me something I could handle, he would take it away from her and give it to me.
Scene 5.
I didn't get to perform as often as I wanted to.
I lost the time of having a normal mother-daughter relationship because NF took the forefront.
Neurofibromatosis. Hard to say. Even harder to live with. That used to be our slogan. I have neurofibromatosis type 1, or NF.
NF1.
For short. A genetic disorder that affects 1 in every 3,000 births. I was born with this disorder, and I'm a spontaneous mutation. Sounds like an X-Men character, right?
You are.
I mean, it's kind of true. Again, it's what they call a spontaneous mutation. I'm a mutant. The only one in my family who has NF1.
NF causes tumors to grow along the nerves of the body. NF can lead to blindness, deafness, bone disfigurement, hypertension, loss of limbs, cancer, and premature death.
Thought bubble projections explaining medical terms and procedures as they are listed.
For me, well, because of my NF1, I've had to have 3 spinal fusions, 3 tumor debulkings to my left arm, 3 cancerous tumors removed. I have high blood pressure because of renal artery stenosis. I have severe joint dislocations, even in the middle of parking lots, happens anywhere. I have learning disabilities. I live in chronic severe pain. I'm trying a clinical study for the 2nd time now, and I'm hoping that my kidneys don't start to fail like they did the last time. For those of you who don't know, I just started my 6th month of chemotherapy. But what's funny is every single person that's asked me about chemo has asked me the same thing. Were you nervous about starting it? And the thing is, I never realized how much I put on this facade, not only to protect them, but to protect myself. So, my answer? Thank you. It's going to be okay. But the truth? Of course I'm nervous. If this doesn't work, we don't know if I would survive. NF can lead to blindness, but apparently so can chemotherapy. Yes, I'm not going blind, my vision's changed, but I throw up every few days, my joints still hurt, and with all of this going on, I get judged if I park in an accessible parking space. Isn't that funny? I am more scared than I have been in a long time. Wouldn't you be? Before starting chemotherapy, I was going to have my arm amputated. No one was going to change my mind. So I thought. I found my skin would not heal if I went through with the surgery. I could die of an infection, and it's just, I still have to live my life in fear instead of living my life to the fullest. I can't even go on a family vacation without being in fear of someone bumping into my arm, because it's painful. Yes, I have done great things, and I should be very appreciative for all of the things I have. There I go again, trying to protect myself. Hey, every single time I say, thank you, or I'm sorry, that's me wearing my mask.
When you try your best but you don't succeed. When you get what you want but not what you
I always knew that I was different from other kids. When Brianna was born, she had multiple spots all over her body, and her left arm was an entirely different color from the rest of her body. I was diagnosed at 2 months old with neurofibromatosis, but I think it really hit me when I was 8 years old and I went to a neurofibromatosis forum and spoke to a big group of doctors, and they explained that I was different. NF has taught me to be a more positive person. Brianna, we always say she's like sunshine. I've gone through horrific surgeries where they told me I probably wouldn't survive. They didn't think I'd make it over the age of 7. And I'm 22, graduating from college. And I think that if I'm positive and continue to advocate and help others, it gives me that drive and passion to keep on living and keep on fighting.
Brianna is truly the strongest person that I've ever known in my entire life. Everything that she's gone through has made her the person she is today. You know, the strong and kind-hearted person that she is today.
You're all prepped, ready to go? Well, you're not really prepped. She used to tell me when she was going in for a procedure, Mom, is it okay that I'm scared? And I would say, Brianna, it's not brave if you're not scared. And she has that tattooed on her arm. And I think I was saying that more for me, but honestly, she is the bravest kid I know. Singing has been one of my biggest passions. I've always sang since I was little. My mom jokes saying I sang before I could talk. There was a time when they removed a tumor, the cancerous tumor from her cervical spine. They had to go in through her throat. And in doing so, between the intubation and all of the swelling, her vocal fold was paralyzed. They took the camera out and said, you might not be able to talk normal, swallow normal, and you definitely won't be able to sing. And they left.
When she lost her voice, she was absolutely devastated. She's an amazing singer.
I just felt like my world came crashing down because I didn't want NF to define who I was, but I lost my voice. And yes, I love to sing, but my voice is also how I advocate for NF. Music and theater arts is extremely important to me. When I'm on stage, I get to be someone I'm not. So I'm not that girl who's sick. And for a moment, the pain of neurofibromatosis and my hard life is gone. My goal is to get my master's in drama theater, to use my background in psychology to help children or adults cope with various disabilities using theater arts. It's really important for me to help others with NF because I understand where they're coming from. For us, the best part of CTF has been the networking and the meeting other families for Brianna to know that she's not alone. The funding that goes behind the clinical trials is really through CTF. If it weren't for them, the clinical trial that Brianna is currently on, where would we be without that? So eternally grateful for CTF.
When you try your best but you don't succeed, when you get what you want but not what
2 months. An orthopedic suggests Brianna has neurofibromatosis.
6 months. My diagnosis of neurofibromatosis type 1 was confirmed with genetic testing.
10 to 24 months. We were sent from Westchester to Tulane University to the top specialist and followed there for 2 years.
At age 2, while visiting Tulane, an MRI was performed. The physician read the results, entered the exam room, and told my lovely mom here that I needed to have as much of the tumor removed as possible.
At that same visit, the surgeon explained Brianna has to have this surgery or she will die. Then he said she will lose the function of her left arm and she may become paralyzed. He followed this by stating that he would send the nurse in to schedule the surgery. There was no further conversation. The surgeon just walked out of the room, and so did we.
On the flight home, the Angel flight pilot referred us to Boston Children's Hospital. My mom contacted the NF clinic there and was told not to let anyone operate on me.
Brianna was subsequently scheduled to meet with the NF team in the neurofibromatosis clinic at Boston Children's Hospital.
2 years. I was evaluated at Boston Children's Hospital. The NF team continued to follow my eyes, ears, perform full body MRIs, which, as some of my fellow NFers know, this can take up to 4 to 5 hours.
Some that were 6 hours. Remember, I was waiting in the waiting room.
It was fun times for me.
Fun times when you were sedated.
Yeah. No, it's even more fun when you have to be awake. No, it's really not. But you can't move for hours, so let's get back on track, Mom.
Okay, sorry.
Now, my mom had to meet with my genetic counselor, and around this time, I was found to have severely enlarged tonsils and adenoids. I had a tonsillectomy and an
adenoidectomy.
Adenoid. You get it. During my post-op, my blood pressure was very high. I was diagnosed with hypertension by age 2 and was admitted to an ICU. Fun fact about me, I like to say, I have been swallowing my high blood pressure medication since I was 2 years old. It's not a joke. My high blood pressure was caused by a malformation of my left kidney. I was diagnosed with renal artery stenosis and a deformed left kidney.
It looks like a shrunken, shriveled up avocado.
I think my kidney's cute.
It's adorable.
Thanks.
2 to 5 years after learning how to swallow her blood pressure pills with mini M&Ms, Brianna continued to be followed by the NF team at Boston Children's Hospital. She continued to have yearly MRI exams and was monitored by the renal department for her kidney function and hypertension. By age 5, we discovered scoliosis, or a curvature of her spine. That was beginning. She was referred to an orthopedic.
6 to 7 years. I continued to be followed by my NF team for my eyes, ears, genetics, MRIs, kidneys, and orthopedics. But by age 7, despite bracing and lots of physical therapy, my scoliosis worsened. I needed surgery. I had a spinal fusion of, may I please?
You may.
Thank you. C3, stand up a little bit, to T11, so the middle part of my back. 18 hours in surgery. So it's diaper time. I mean, I just found out that some doctors had to diaper up for me.
I was alone for 18 hours.
Felt like 10 minutes for
waiting
me.
to hear if you survived.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So they had to fuse both sides of my spine. May I again?
You may.
Thank you. They went through the back, the front, the sides of my chest, but my left side. So while my mom was asleep, I felt like I couldn't breathe. My lung collapsed. Yay!
Kink in that chest tube.
After my mom ensured oxygen was put back into my lungs, she fainted.
Yep.
And want to know when I yelled? Help my mom!
It was more like, help my mom.
It was funny.
Yeah, well, I thought you were going to die.
I'm sorry. It's really not
so
funny. It's not funny. On a serious note, recovery was very painful and very, very hard for me. I had to learn how to walk again. I remember being in just so much pain as they forced me to walk down the hallway. I threw up my bright blue lollipop
Was it a ring
in that
pop?
hallway. It was a ring pop.
was a
You were
ring
right.
pop, yeah.
All over my nurse's shoes. Imagine that. I spent several months in a wheelchair, and I was away from my brothers and my puppy for weeks. When I finally got to go home, something happened. My back hurt and it smelled.
Yeah.
I was allergic to the sutures used in my surgery, so that meant that the hundreds of stitches just festered and forced their way out as my body rejected them. I was re-hospitalized, and I spent another 2 months in the hospital due to the spinal surgery and the complications related to the sutures dehiscent. The doctors taught my mother how to remove my stitches from my now open spinal fusion.
Hundreds of stitches.
This is when my mom realized she not only wanted but needed to become a nurse.
If I could do it on you, I could do it on anybody.
Yeah.
10 years. Brianna's left wrist, began to dislocate. She had so much pain in her arm and hand, and to determine if the nerves would handle the surgery, the doctors stuck a long needle into her wrist, injected some medication, and she screamed in pain.
I was so mad.
She was a candidate for wrist stabilization surgery.
12 years. 3 pounds of tumor were removed from my upper left arm. It went really well and I was happy.
13 years. 3 more pounds of tumor removed, this time from her forearm. Brianna suffered complex regional nerve pain syndrome.
Not fun.
Rain, wind, her clothing, everything hurt her arm. Brianna was unable to tolerate touch. She was in more pain than ever before. And after weeks in the hospital, finally a medical treatment of medications, 2 of them used to dull the nerves, in addition to occupational and physical therapy, Brianna was able to go home. She continued to have pain, but at least at this point, it was a pain that she could tolerate.
12 years.
14 years.
14 years.
Went backwards in time.
Dyslexia is fun. 14 years. My parents just divorced and it's fine. A malignant peripheral nerve sheath tumor, or MPNST. Cancer. The MPNST was found in my left chest wall. I remember lying in my bed next to my mom the morning of my homecoming, my freshman homecoming dance, I might add. She didn't say a word and she just began to cry. And I instantly knew that I had cancer. The tumor was removed and they had to take out most of my left chest muscle along with the muscles on my left side. Yes, that includes, again, my breast muscle. My breasts were just developing. I know, you're all looking right at them, especially with the writing on my chest. It's fine. They weren't that big to begin with.
Okay. Stop looking at her chest. I thought she was going to die.
I'm sorry. Oh, Mom.
Oh, Brie. 16 years. According to statistics, she shouldn't have survived cancer the first time. Now she has it again in 2 other places at the same time. Okay, music boy, could you stop? Please. I can't do this circus thing. 2 malignant peripheral nerve sheath tumors, or MPNSTs, were diagnosed. One in her left axilla or armpit, and the other one at her cervical spine in C4. Both tumors and the surrounding tissue had to be resected. Post-surgery, Brianna had difficulty swallowing, breathing, and speaking. She had left vocal fold paralysis. She lost her voice. She couldn't speak. She couldn't eat. And for her, the worst part was that she lost the ability to sing. But for me, she was alive.
Singing was my only escape.
I'm sorry.
It was my only normalcy. The only thing I was good at or known for other than being that sick girl.
I'm sorry.
But the thing is, Mom, it was more than singing. I used my voice to further my passion of providing education and awareness about NF, and now it was just gone. I had speech therapy for about 6 months before my voice came back. I was able to swallow again only after learning how to swallow things like ground turkey.
What's your favorite?
No. But after about a year, I began to sing again.
I'm sorry. Music boy, I'm sorry.
Can I continue now? Thank you. 17 to 18 years. I decided to start a clinical trial of cabozantinib, a form of chemotherapy. The treatment began to work really well. However, it began to cause damage to my kidneys and caused my blood pressure to increase. Reminder, I already have high blood pressure. The medication that was working to shrink my tumors was also posing serious health risk, including the risk of a stroke. So, I had to stop the treatment right away, and within weeks of stopping, I experienced significant rebound growth of all my tumors, which meant the tumors grew back much bigger than they were even before I started chemotherapy.
19 years. Despite her last experience with complex regional nerve pain syndrome, Brianna decided to have this new massive tumor growth operated on. She had another 3 pounds of tumor removed from her upper left arm, little math segment, so now we're up to 9 pounds of tumor. She recovered well from this surgery. However, without a treatment or a cure, her tumors continue to grow. How many surgeries can she possibly have?
21 years. The day before my 21st birthday, to be exact.
I still threw you a nice 21st birthday.
I had a great 21st birthday. But during a PET scan, it was discovered that I have a nodule on my thyroid. This indicates malignancy or cancer. Unfortunately, because I like to be a rare gem, it's just too small to be biopsied. So they just leave it in there. And I mean, I'm 23 now and it's still there. They have to wait for it to grow, so I just feel like a ticking time bomb. I'm sorry. It was dramatic, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, wait a second. I'm sorry. To add insult to injury, that same PET scan that indicated I might have thyroid cancer also indicated that I could potentially have bone cancer. I'm sorry. You can go.
You can play. Thank you. Sorry. 22 years. Brianna is understandably frustrated with her tumor growth, continued pain, and frequent dislocation of her elbow and shoulder. She approached her physicians and discussed her desire for amputation of her left arm as an option to treatment. Amputation. Could you imagine that? Brianna met with plastic surgery and the orthopedic oncology team. It was discovered that Brianna's skin integrity is so poor that she is not a candidate for further surgery. Brianna's only alternative is yet another clinical trial of chemotherapy that may help to shrink her tumors, decrease her pain, and improve the quality of her life.
I'm sorry.
Again?
Yes. All jokes aside, I'm missing out on things I wish I could do. Some nights I cry myself to sleep because I am just in so much pain. I am always stressed about letting my family down because I don't want them to think that I'm being overdramatic. So I say, I'm fine. When a lot of the time, I'm really not.
When I wear my mask most,
it's definitely around the people I love.
Never had it all. One Prozac a day. Husband's a CPA. Her dreams went out the door when she turned 24. Only been with one man. What happened to her plan? She's gonna be an actress. She's gonna be a star. She's gonna shake her ass on the hood of White Snake's car. Her yellow SUV is now the enemy. Looks at her average life and nothing has been alright since Bruce Springsteen, Madonna, way before Nirvana. There was YouTube and Blondie, music still on MTV. Her two kids in high school, they tell her that she's uncool, 'cause she's still preoccupied with 1985. All the classics, she knows every line. Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, even St. Elmo's Fire. She rocked out to Wham, not a big Limp Bizkit fan. Thought she'd get a hand on a member of Duran Duran. Where's the mini skirt made of snake skin? And who's the other guy that's singing in Van Halen? When did reality become TV? Whatever happened to sitcoms, game shows on the radio? Madonna, way before Nirvana, there was YouTube and Blondie, music still on MTV. Her two kids in high school, they tell her that she's uncool, 'cause she's still preoccupied.
Growing up, I feel like I let my brothers down. I'm always in fear that my brothers envy me in some sort of way. Do they think that I got special treatment over them? Like getting autographs from my favorite baseball team while I was bedridden in a hospital. I know, that sounds insane. I'm in a hospital and I'm worried about them being jealous, but
I'm jealous of that ball.
I wear my mask most, especially in front of my brothers. I'll tell them I'm fine when in reality, I'm in pain the majority of the time, and I'm mentally and physically drained from being in so much pain all of the time. I want them to be able to live their lives, but I don't want them to be worrying about their dying sister. I know that sounds dramatic, but sometimes that's just how it feels. There's no medication that takes away my pain, and my tumors just keep growing and feeding off my bones, so at times it can feel like my body is just
slowly fading away.
But I can't tell my brothers. If I tell them, then they're just going to constantly worry about me, and their focus will be on them instead of, their focus will be on me instead of themselves. But a lot of people ask me what I'm afraid of most about my disorder, or if I'm afraid I'm going to die. But it's not that I'm afraid of my body dying, so to speak. I'm just afraid of how my entire family were to react if I were ever to be gone. And That's just the truth. It's always been the truth.
Scene 6.
You go first or me?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I didn't get to see my daughter play sports that she wanted to.
I didn't get to go to parties in high school or college.
Yeah, I'm glad for that. Neurofibromatosis. There have been so many moments in my life where I have secretly hidden away and cried by myself because of what you have done to my family. Most of my crying is done in the shower or in the car because I don't ever want to burden my daughter with my stupid whining. How dare I cry? She's so strong and I have to be strong for her. But the reality is just like Brianna, I wear a mask. My mask is to protect her and to deflect others from getting through to my true feelings because I can't ever break. But the truth is, I'm broken inside. NF, you have taken so much from me. I mean, there are superficial things in my life that I guess they don't really matter to me. I'd give them up 1,000 times in order to make her healthy, like giving up my once upon a time dream of becoming an actress, or having to wait forever to return to school and have a career. Now, that stuff is meaningless, but I would relive all of the pain caused by all of the judgmental people who have commented about my life throughout the years. I mean, I don't wish harm upon anyone, but I do wish that they could walk in my shoes just for a minute. I missed out on important things. Things that I can never get back. Things that no matter what, no matter how hard I try, I can never fully recover. You see, you don't get a second chance at parenting, raising children, and at life. NF took me away from my 2 older boys for months at a time. I missed so much of their childhood, and they missed so much of their mother. No matter how much I have tried to make up the time, it will never amount to the same thing. My boys didn't have their mother. Not the way they should have. And my parents and my siblings, they did everything they could to help. They took care of my boys when I was away with Brianna in Boston. But it wasn't the same. I think about the nights that they slept away from me and how they must have been so frightened. I think about them having bad dreams and just wanting to snuggle up with mommy, but they couldn't because I was 5 hours away in a hospital trying to keep their sister alive. It's no wonder they have night terrors to this day. They're afraid their sister's going to die. NF, you have hurt all of my children. And now it's happening again with my littlest guy. He's wanting all of my attention. He wants all of her attention.
Jace is such an empath.
He sees her hurting. So, in my attempts of not repeating history, I drag Jace on road trip after road trip, pulling him from school so that I can keep him with me, or keep him with her as we care for her. No normalcy for any of us. All of my boys love their sister so much, but they have to live in constant fear that today may be the last day that they see her. This is one of the reasons that Brianna and I take photos together before any of her surgeries. My second husband, Dan, he took on the challenge of 3 teenage children. Knowing she was sick, he stood by us. He's a rock. Since he has been in our lives, I am no longer alone in the waiting room, and Brianna has that fatherly hug that she's longed for. When he can't go with us to Boston, it breaks his heart. Every time we leave, the man stands at the end of the driveway, bawling his eyes out as we pull away.
He likes to act like he's this big, strong, tough man, but he's the biggest mush I've ever met in my life. NF, you have burdened us all.
One of the worst ways that NF has affected me is the fact that the stress of Brianna's illness has caused me to have these memory blockouts. Like there are so many events that I was physically present for. However, I was so emotionally invested in caring for Brianna and worrying about her that I can't remember anything other than hospitalizations, surgeries, traumatic events, everything stressful. NF stole the most beautiful moments of my life.
Scene 7.
I can't dress the way I want to.
I won't get to hold her hand as I pass away in my old age.
No, I can't take one more step towards you, 'cause all that's waiting is regret.
What greater love is there than the love shared between a parent and a child?
Ghost anymore.
I have experienced every type of love imaginable. Romantic, parent to child, child to parent. But to me, parent to child is the truest and quite honestly the most important love that there is. By loving our children fully and unconditionally, we provide them with the foundation of what it is to be human, which is love. We teach them empathy and we give them hope. My dream is that one day Brianna will fall in love and that she will be loved in a way that is different, of course, but equal to, or better yet, greater than the love that I have for her. I've certainly had my share of heartbreak. Brianna and the twins observed much of it. I never thought I'd be divorced. I don't think anyone ever expects it. I tried to work it out. We actually stuck it out way longer than I think most couples would. I knew things. I ignored things and in order to protect the kids. I was young and dumb. And I had no idea how much damage I was causing them by staying. I mean, you know it's bad when your kids beg you to get a divorce. They were just so tired of the screaming and the constant fighting. Who could blame them?
What is love? Most of the time, people say it's this romantic, gushy feeling. But for me, love means family. Throughout my life, I never knew what true love was. Romantic love is what I mean. I know that my mom has my stepfather who, like I said, he's a mush, so he loves us all, and her especially. I haven't had very many crushes. Boring. I know. My mom says that my first crush was on George of the Jungle.
George of the Jungle.
Yes, you heard me. I said George of the Jungle, so a fictional character. Oh God, I had a crush on a boy in kindergarten. Don't look at me like that. You know.
I still don't know who it is.
You still know what I'm talking about.
I don't know who it was.
I didn't have my first boyfriend till I was about 17, and it didn't last long. It's fine. I wasn't in school long enough to truly get to know people or to experience dating. I didn't date again till about 5 years after that, and that's all I'm going to say about that relationship.
After divorce, dating was horrific. Dating a mother is hard enough, but dating the mother of a kid with a chronic illness, that's a whole different story. After a few months of dating, I was so done with it. I had my 3 amazing kids, and I was embarking upon a new career as a nurse. I was good with me. I didn't need a man. I was good. And then I met Dan. This guy from work who literally protected me from a bad guy who tried to hurt me while I was working an overnight shift. A real live Superman.
Looks like him.
He does. Dan and I became friends. He made me laugh almost every single day, and he has this infectious smile and laugh. It's uncanny. Dan likes football. And for whatever reason, the Bills are his team. Once upon a time, when I had the time, I followed the Jets.
I don't know why. Sorry.
Our teams were playing against each other, and we went to a bar and we watched the game. We laughed so much. My cheeks hurt by the end of the night. The Jets won, of course. I think we fist bumped at the end of the night. And no kiss or hug goodnight. I thought he was my bud. I left the bar thinking, whoever lands that guy is going to be one lucky girl. And here we are today, 8 years later, still in love with a beautiful little boy. He's an amazing father to all of my children. He's been there for Brianna during her most difficult moments, like finding out she had cancer for the 2nd and 3rd time all at once. He's wiped away her tears and he's hugged away her fear. He is the father figure and the male role model that all 3 of my older kids have longed for. He shows them how to be respectful, strong, and that it's okay to show emotion and to give empathy and love.
I remember when I was diagnosed with cancer that 2nd and 3rd time, he walked in and I just looked at him and he cried. He knew. And I just begged him not to leave my mom because I was sick. Because again, people leave us once they realize how hard things get. So I've always said that there's love out there for everybody and everyone, but do I apply that to myself? Of course not. I guess you can say it's because I'm a very independent and guarded person, but I always put my illness and my schooling first. I do know that I deserve someone that makes me happy, but I'm scared. I may never get the chance to have children. Some people with NF can carry a child, but because of the circumstances with my NF, we don't know if it's an option for me. My mom has always said, "You'd be a great mom, and I can't wait to see you be a mom," to feel that bond of motherhood.
It's true.
But I'm not even sure if I want to have children. It's just the fact that neurofibromatosis took my chance away to decide. So, yeah, I have a 4-year-old brother who is my best friend. I love him so much. I can't explain how much I love him. And I will always care for him as if he's my own, but he's not my child. If I do find someone, will they be okay if I'm physically unable to have children? What if someone falls in love with me and I end up sicker than I am? How is that fair to them? But what if I fall in love with someone and they leave me because NF is just too stressful for them to handle? How is that fair to me?
As for Brianna, you can see that she is guarded. She's fearful of opening her heart. She's seen me hurt, and I think she's fearful of the same. She let her guard down twice in her short lifetime, only to be broken up with when her health was failing and she was most vulnerable. In my opinion, neither kid was man enough to date my daughter, but honestly, I do hope that she finds love someday. I worry about who's going to love her when I'm gone.
Scene 8.
I lost my job because of NF.
I didn't get to have a strong relationship with my twin sons because of NF.
I've been in relationships in my 23 years of life. But, like my mom, people like the idea of me. So, is love even real? My parents got divorced, and like me, my mom has had men use her. They thought she wanted more. She wasn't in love with them, wasn't dating them. She was just simply their friend. But again, they wanted more. I remember they would always try to go on these dates with her, and they try to include me, which is so weird. And they cared, or they acted like they cared, about how sick I was and what we go through together. But did they understand what it really meant to have a sick child? No. They liked the idea of her, but they didn't like the baggage. They didn't like my disorder and what it entailed. So this leads me to this. What does it mean to love a person with a chronic illness? I know everybody has their story, but whoever I end up with needs to understand that I need extra love and support. That it's important to understand that my disorder is much more than what it looks like. People sometimes don't even notice my tumors if I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. Regardless, I'm going to have sick days where I can hardly walk. I may never be able to work a full-time job, so who's going to want to love a dying sick girl that doesn't have a full-time job or a job, period? Back to my first question. What does it mean to love a person with a chronic illness? I mean, they couldn't.
Scene 9.
Who's going first? Me?
You can go first.
All right.
I'll twist it up here.
Me too. I can no longer ride my bike.
You loved riding your bike.
I used to ride miles and miles.
I gave up on my dreams of performing arts and went into the field of nursing to better care for my children.
Well, you're a rock at being a nurse. I wanted to say a different word, but I can't say that word on here. But
thanks.
You get what I'm saying.
Oh, go ahead. I hate this.
All right. I'm a cockroach. She hates when I say that, but I love saying it.
I just see this black hard-shelled thing.
But no, really, it's true.
Cockroaches.
Most people don't survive the things that I've been through, but the thing is, I'm dying and it's not a joke. You see, with my neurofibromatosis, anytime my heart can just stop and bleed out, I would die in my sleep. Again, it's not that I'm afraid of dying. I just don't want to leave my family behind. What is my family going to do if I was gone? Would they survive? There are days where I feel like I'm in a circus. I'm just another freak in a freak show. Oh, you shouldn't have children. What's your lifespan? You look too healthy to have tumors. why not just chop it all off? You know, they do that with tumors.
Sure.
If that were only possible with mine. Or is this deadly? Just pray. Positive energy will make it go away. Or, you know, there's a magic cream that'll make your tumors fall off, right? I don't mean to be rude. I know you're trying to help, but can you
Just
please
give us
give me some
some
space? Mentally and physically, I have enough scrambling on in my head. I don't need your knowledge, too. It's my body. I know how it works. People stare, and they stare, and they stare. I can't even go shopping without someone wanting to just stare at my arm. Some ask rude questions, have even asked to pet my arm. I know my doctors care, but they don't always know how to help me. It's just overwhelming and exhausting to live in the unknown, and sometimes I just want it to
all
stop.
to stop.
I'm sorry. I don't want you to pity me, but just think. I put my brothers through so much. I put my mom through so much, my stepfather and dad, and it feels like my disorder has taken everything from me. It has taken my sanity, my quality of life, my ability to work, the muscle and tissue in my body, my blood, my sweat, my tears,
my friends, my relationships.
It's taken it all. Imagine this. Imagine fighting in like a life that just keeps growing inside of you. It's as if my tumors are just growing inside and eating me alive. So, is it going to take my life too? If it does, at least I won't be in pain anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know that was selfish for me to say. I'm sorry. My best friend. Oh God, Ariana. I laugh because she'd be completely lost without me. She says that I'm her only friend and she has other friends, but does she count them? No. I've got to get that girl more positive people in her life. New thing, and not to be mean, but if I were ever to be gone, find her someone to replace me.
Are you kidding me?
What about my stepfather? My dad? They'd be broken too. My brothers, Robert, Brandon, Jace, and Justin. I don't know how they would function. To think that they could just grow and continue life without me and not getting to see Robert or Brandon get married, it really breaks my heart. The fact that I wouldn't even get to see Jace or Justin grow up. Maybe Justin would forget about me, but then again, whenever he sees me, his little face just lights up. I know Jace wouldn't be okay, and he would ask for me every single day. He tells everyone that he is healing my arm. He doesn't want anyone to touch it. It's Jace's arm. It's Jace's boo-boo. And to know that I'm dead, his poor heart would be crushed. I don't know what he would do. I can't even go somewhere for a few days without him questioning where I am and why didn't I take him with me. So this would hurt him forever.
Light on Jana fades away. Only her silhouette can be seen.
My poor mom. Would she die of a broken heart or she kill herself because the loss of a child is so painful and so unimaginable? We've talked about death, and I always tell her that if or when I die, she'd best keep on fighting because, like I need her, our family needs her too. Also, I don't want a depressing funeral with pea-smelling flowers. I want funny pictures, fun music, and dancing. But
Light comes back up on Jana.
here's the truth. mom has spent her whole life fighting for me. And I feel like if I were ever to die from NF, it would be because I failed her, that I wasn't strong enough to keep on fighting anymore. And I want everyone to be happy, but with NF, every day. Every morning is a gift. Neurofibromatosis is not easy to say, but it's not fun or easy to live with. That smiling girl everyone knew, she used to be mine.
Scene 10.
I struggle to brush my hair.
Right now, everyone is afraid. This is what it feels like to live with NF and the fear of the unknown.
True.
There is an ever-present weight pressing on me. A negativity that always lingers no matter how hard I try to keep my chin up, wear my mask of positivity. My greatest fear, losing one of my children. It's something that I've had to force myself to come to terms with, or at least try to. I suppose it stems from the fact that I lost my nephew when he was just 3 years old. It devastated me. I was 18, and he was my little buddy. We never got an actual cause of his death. It was almost 27 years ago, and it still pains me as if it were today. 27 years ago. I was 18, just graduating high school and childless at the time. However, I distinctly remember the day that little blonde-haired boy lay in a casket. It couldn't have been more than 3 feet long. That day, I made it my personal vow to always protect my children, no matter the cost. To always put their needs before my own and to do whatever it takes to keep them safe and to ensure their success. Keeping one's children safe seems like something that everyone does. But you'd be surprised at how nonchalant some folks are regarding parenting. Well, at least I'm often surprised in my line of work.
My mom works tirelessly to ensure that her patients are cared for. She cares for them just as well as she cares for me.
I hear other parents speak regarding the looseness of their parenting choices. And to say that I've kept my children safe over their lifetime is an understatement. I've kept them alive, literally. My twin sons have their own very challenging health concerns, and they were born 2 months prematurely. And one of them has a congenital cardiac issue, Brandon, requiring surgical intervention, and as a result, it led to orthopedic issues because of a lack of blood supply to his lower extremities. Then there are girl troubles. Driving. Oh my God, all of you mothers of boys out there, parents of boys out there, my blessings to you, because boys have accidents.
And you have a few.
And they did. I thank the gods that my little guy is healthy. I mean, for the most part, he's faced with speech delays and learning challenges. and keeping all 4 of them healthy and empowering them to make good choices and ensuring that they have all that it takes to succeed while juggling to keep Brianna alive. It's been a full-time job. It's a full-time job that I've maintained single-handedly since the day she was born. And one that I will continue to maintain until she takes her last breath.
Light on Brianna fades away. Only her silhouette can be seen.
The thought of her taking her last breath erodes my soul. Every single day. Every day I'm asked, typically more than once, how's Brianna doing? And I always smile and give some combination of, she's doing well. She's staying strong. She's so tough. She's a fighter.
Light comes up on Brianna.
But if I told the complete truth, I would say instead that she's tired. She had difficulty getting out of bed today, and on most days, she didn't want to eat today. When I checked her before I left for work this morning, she was still alive. That's a thing I do. I check her every morning, and sometimes throughout the night when she's asleep, like you do with a newborn. I check to make sure she's still breathing. I have done this every day since the day she was born. 23 years, 8,437 days and counting. Of worrying if I'm going to wake up and find that my child has died in her sleep. That's the thing with NF. You either die from cancer, and you know you're going to die because there's nothing more that they can do, or death just sneaks up. NF patients have complications with their cardiovascular systems.
Most people we knew who have died from NF have been sudden cardiac events that just happen in the middle of the night, like my friend Jerry.
Brianna has fought and survived 3 malignant peripheral nerve sheath tumors, or neurosarcomas. The survival rate for one is 34%. She has high blood pressure since she was 2 years of age. The nurse in me worries about the effect that this lifelong high blood pressure has on the walls of her heart. How long can her heart continue to handle the stress? How long can her body continue to handle the stress? What will I do when she's gone? We've talked about death. We've had conversations about what her wishes are when the time comes. I think we were homecoming dress shopping. The first time we talked about her funeral arrangements. Can you picture that? Watching your little girl try on dresses, hoping that she'll make homecoming court, and then driving home to talk about her funeral arrangements.
But that's our reality.
She wants me to promise her that I'll go on. I'll never give up. But I don't know how I'll do that, to be honest. She keeps me going. She's been my lifeline, and I'll be honest, she is the reason that I am still breathing to this day. There have been so many times where my heart is just not strong enough to take any more pain, any more sadness. And she has been the light that has kept me going. I have my boys, but they're growing up and they're moving on with their lives, and that's okay, right? Because that's the goal, to raise them so that they can be successful and independent. But the truth is, they would be devastated by her death. And honestly, if they lost her and then me, I don't know how they would function. They're busy with their lives, but they love us. And I fear that The loss of Brianna would be unbearable for them. What about little Jace? He'll be devastated to lose his sister. He loves her so much. He's our best friend, and she certainly is. I couldn't leave him. I couldn't leave him without the both of us. And my husband? Losing Bree would hurt Dan beyond belief. My own death doesn't frighten me. I'm terrified of not being here to take care of her, of not being here to protect my children, of not being here to keep them safe, of not being able to keep that personal vow I made 27 years ago alongside my nephew. I suppose, just like with NF, we never know what tomorrow will bring, but I have to make the best of today, right? Make their days as amazing as I can, make her day as amazing as it can be, and teach them every day how to care for themselves and each other. I have to keep up hope. But what would the world be like without Brianna? A light would go out, and not just for our family, for so many around the world. Brianna has touched so many lives. She inspires everywhere she goes. She's got a following on social media of other NF patients who look to her for inspiration. Her death, it'll be a painful shock to thousands, and I fear that the pain that she lives with every day will not compare to the pain that will pierce the hearts of so many when she's gone. Hey. For me, that'll be an eternal pain. It'll never ever subside.
Hey. I'm here. Annoying you every single day, aren't I?
Especially today.
You annoy me too. Don't even. Oh, come here. You know you love all my jokes. I love you. No more sadness, okay? That was a wet kiss.
Sorry.
Real wet. Nice hiccup, by the way. Okay, no more sadness. Alright? So, can I continue? Please. Can I do my jokes now? Alright. So, do you guys want an update? Who am I kidding? I'm going to say it anyways. Even if you don't want to hear it. Sorry.
I know you're going to anyway.
Yep. Always with NF, it's a constant unknown. But things are looking up right now, and I promise that I'm telling you it without my mask. I am the 2020 National Ambassador for the Children's Tumor Foundation, and I'm so excited to say that. I have been on an experimental trial for about 6 months now, and we're already seeing such an improvement, even from that picture to this, excuse me a little bit, to this right here. We are hopeful that this drug, called bitomintinib, is a potential treatment, if not cure, for neurofibromatosis. So that's big. Oh, there's one more thing to tell them.
Yes, tell them, because we've abused the poor boy all day.
I'm in a relationship. I have a boyfriend. Yes, the girl that doesn't like dating and is afraid to date. He sees past my tumors and vomiting while on chemotherapy, like,
so attractive.
Yes, it's so great. One of the first times we hung out, I threw up. Fun. But he believes in me and my mom that we will continue to help those affected by NF.
Because of her dedication to advocacy, fundraising, and her bravery, Brianna was named the 2020 Ambassador for the Children's Tumor Foundation. She continues chemotherapy as she attends functions, raising NF awareness, addressing the Food and Drug Administration about the importance of finding a treatment and about rare diseases. And she inspires everyone everywhere she goes. I have to add yet another little update. Who am I kidding? It's not little.
It's big.
It's huge. Since that first PSA video you saw at the top of the show 13-ish years ago, thanks to the help of the Children's Tumor Foundation and the continued donations made by many of you, find the link.
Testify.
The FDA has passed the first ever treatment for children with NF1. And I have to say, I am so happy to be able to say that no parent moving forward will get to hear the words that I heard 23 years ago.
One more thing.
No treatment, no cure, never again.
It was also announced that there is trials going on for NF2.
I heard that today, yes.
So we're all getting there.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. I am forever grateful and honored to be the 2020 Children's Tumor Foundation's National Ambassador. My family, thank you. My family and I have been working with CTF and advocating for the NF cause for almost 15 years, since I was just 8 years old. I have been honored to participate in several NF forums, symposiums, NF walks, and I recently had the privilege of sharing my story as a patient representative with the FDA on 2 separate occasions. Inspiring others and being a spokesperson for this cause has always been a passion for me and has played an important role in my life. Tonight, I would like to share with you a little story about my NF journey and my ongoing battle with neurofibromatosis type 1. I was diagnosed at only 2 months of age. I have a plexiform neurofibroma, which encompasses my entire left side with the exception of my left leg. Because of NF, I live with renal artery stenosis, bone disfigurements, and hypertension. I also have learning disabilities and suffer from chronic pain and fatigue. As a result, I have made over 1,000 trips to medical facilities for testings and treatments. I've endured more than 10 surgeries at Boston Children's Hospital. When I was just 7 years old, I went through an 18-hour spinal fusion, which impacted my muscles and my nerves so severely that I had to learn how to walk again. Additionally, I had a wrist stabilization, 3 tumor debulking surgeries to my left arm, 2 more spinal fusions, and 3 malignant peripheral nerve sheath tumor resections, or MPNST for short. I was also involved in 1 clinical trial for NF. It was promising and shrinking some of my tumors, but my kidneys began to fail because my blood pressure got too high. I could not continue the trial. My first malignant peripheral nerve sheath tumor was when I was a freshman in high school, and the cancer came back 2 more times. When I woke up from surgery following the last resection, it was hard to breathe. I could not talk. I felt like I had swallowed knives. When the doctor told me one of my vocal cords was paralyzed, I wouldn't talk, eat normal, or sing again. My heart sank. I felt like I was drowning. With NF taking front stage, singing was the only real normalcy in my life, and because of the paralysis, I wasn't able to do the one thing I loved. And I could not live with that. I wasn't going to let NF win, and while it took 6 months, I learned how to swallow and talk again. Thank you. Thank you. My vocal cord remains partially paralyzed, but I've started singing again despite the challenge. Most of my high school years were spent in the hospital or at home recovering with a tutor, so I didn't get to experience life as a typical teenager. Despite these setbacks, I enrolled in a university classes and I worked my tail off and graduated from Boston University, top 10% of my class. Thank you. It seemed every accomplishment in my life, there comes a new challenge. During my junior year, I was told I may have a nodule, or I do have a nodule on my thyroid, which needs to be biopsied and tested for cancer. So I'm currently dealing with this. In addition, a few months ago, I felt like my world was crashing again. I was frustrated with the constant pain, ongoing complications with my arm, and I was desperate for relief. I asked my doctors at Boston Children's Hospital if they would amputate. After a lot of consideration with my medical team, we realized that this is not an option because my skin won't heal. Instead, because of the funding from the Children's Tumor Foundation and the help from my doctor, Nicole Ulrich's here, I would like for her to stand up. I am now on a new clinical trial for a form of chemotherapy, which has not negatively impacted my kidneys so far. We are already seeing a major difference in my left arm. Clinical studies and ultimately a cure for NF are crucial to making life livable, not only for me, but 2.5 million people worldwide who suffer from complications of NF. NF and events like this are crucial to making this possible. I appreciate your time in being here, your dedication to this cause, and most especially your financial support this evening, so that NF patients like me have an option for treatments that will significantly impact the quality of our lives. Having NF has taught me to enjoy the little things in life, to be positive, and to live my life the best that I can. NF doesn't define me. It doesn't define who I am, but it has helped me be the stronger person that I am today. I want to thank my parents, who have always been my backbone and my heroes. To my little brothers, who protect me as if they were my older brothers, I love you all. I am beyond grateful to my wonderful team at Boston Children's Hospital, who have helped me beat the odds and survive not one, but 3 malignant peripheral nerve sheath tumors. You are more than my doctors and nurses. You are my family. Finally, thank you to the Children's Tumor Foundation. Because of your important work, so many people's lives are impacted, and we are so much closer to finding a cure. There is one more point that I would like to make tonight. In addition to me, 1 in 3,000 babies are born with NF every year. Jerry, Pat, Bara, and Danny, whose birthday is today. Happy birthday, Danny. Are just a few of my friends who fought to the end, but lost their battles way too young. It is because of them that I will fight alongside the Children's Tumor Foundation. As the 2020's National Ambassador, I hope to be an advocate for all people affected by NF. This honor means the world to me, and I cannot express how thankful I am. This is for all of you. Together, we will end NF. Thank you.
NF will never define who I am. I am more than my disorder. I am me.
We will.
And yeah, we will
fight.
Cure.
You guys looked at me like I messed up.
We're frozen. I don't know if you all are.
No, you're not. You're not.
Oh, sorry about that. So this has been a problem all night.
Yes. We will. We'll try it again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. We will fight for a cure.
I was like, are we ready?
Right now, we're in Jessica's shared screen and Brianna.
Remember, she said we were going to say because then we don't have to see her screen. Yeah.
I forgot that.
I listened.
You did. maybe I misunderstood. It was really more.
I was watching you, waiting for you.
I was watching you.
I was like,
I was waiting for you guys. I was like,
So my screen went completely black at one point.
Yeah, so we just kept going. Like, I don't know if we're still.
I saw that happen. Oh well, live theater, yay!
Thank you to those who
Thank you for
stayed.
those of you that put up with me for the night. Oh my goodness.
Hi everyone, if you're still with us, we are going to go ahead and have a talk back with the playwrights and creators and performers who are currently sitting there. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to write in the chat on YouTube, and if I don't see it, my buddy Peter, who's on the other end, will text me an annoyed text. No, he won't. He's very good.
You can't fit, but you're
I got it. I just gotta be creative.
Just gotta be creative.
You are creative.
And just as a friendly reminder for those of you that are still watching, I guess there's 10 of you.
Who's us?
If you could contribute that $10 that I might have stolen from you at the door, I'd appreciate it. Wonderful stage manager Willa.
Crashed for a bit.
This guy I live with, he says that you did a great show and it was very beautiful.
Some guy.
Some guy.
Thank you, random guy.
Okay.
Janine said it was beautiful and she loves us all.
Love you.
Love you.
I'm looking too. That was so funny. I wish you saw Brandon's face. He's like,
Brandon was so ready to say we will fight for a cure. He was like, and I'm looking at the screen going,
like, we gotta
we're
go.
stuck. I
And
don't
she
know
thinks
if
we're
we're
frozen.
jumped off, but I looked at Brandon's screen.
She's moving the
He was-
mouse around.
He
like,
was
we gotta
doing the
go.
same thing, so I'm like, maybe we got kicked off.
I figured that was what's going on, so I jumped in.
She whispers.
See, I could say it with you if I don't have to go from share screen to share screen and have like.
I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. We're gonna do it at the same time. We're gonna do
You
it.
guys all should say it.
And then I was like, oh, are we not doing that tonight? Okay.
Remember we made the joke about it being on me and Alec Baldwin going,
Yes. Well,
that's why
yeah.
I was paused.
Yeah. So many technical things tonight that are just. Ugh.
But it's gonna snow. Our next.
I think it's already snowing. To be
I know
honest
I was
here.
thundering.
Yes.
Thunder snow.
Connor Stratton, who is in our other production, which plays tomorrow night at 8 p.m. on Facebook Live. Plays Gauleen. He says he has no questions, just praise for an affecting production, and thanks for sharing your story.
Aw,
Thank
thank
you.
you. That's nice.
It is nice. He's a nice guy. I like him.
It's good to have more men in theater.
Well, I confused me. I thought there was a dog. Any questions?
Any questions, thoughts, contributions? Tiltify is just up the scrolling thing. Or if you go to tiltify.com and you look up Jessica Lopez Barkle or Children's Tumor Foundation, you'll find it. Or just email me. Some people have done that, and I'll send you the link. Happy to do it. All right. I don't think, Bree, are there any acting roles you want to play in the future? Same question for Jana.
I want to go first.
No, you go first. Go ahead.
Oh, everyone's gonna know my first one.
I know the answer already.
What?
Dear Evan Hansen.
Of course.
Uh-huh.
Of course. I would also like to be in Waitress, or I would want to be in Mean Girls because I want to play Karen.
That's a Karen.
I think it'd be so funny.
I love that role.
Yeah, right?
I don't know how those are. I don't know when those are going to leave Broadway. So
I know.
Yeah.
I'd age out, dude. Except your mom still looks the same age as you, so you know maybe not.
You're so sweet. So there are a couple of plays that I don't know if any of you have heard of, but I know Jessica has. One is, I think they're both by Albee, actually. Rosemary with Ginger, I would love to do with you, Jessica. I just want to perform with Jessica. That's a thought that I have.
We're our own theater company now.
Liberty Free Theater 2.
That's two.
Two. Yeah. Oh, what was the other one that it was also by Albee, I think, that I can't remember off the top of my head.
I
It's
can't
been
think of
too
any
much of a long
plays
day.
right now. It's been a long day.
But I would just like to do like a 2-person show with you again. That was like a great experience, and not that I don't love acting with all of you students. It's the best thing ever because you're all refreshing. But I miss the black box theater a ton.
Yeah.
I never got that experience, really.
Yeah.
Oh.
Tammy Porter, who works with us at SUNY Sullivan, and I think she's known you guys for a long time, I think.
Yeah.
Says thanks for a Friday night theater and stay COVID healthy and NF healthy. Wow, that's a tongue twister. Stay COVID healthy and NF healthy.
Please do. You're the same.
Oh, Nick says he'll direct us in whatever 2-person show that the guy I live with.
The guy, just the guy.
Yeah, this guy I live with.
This guy.
I'm open to being anyone's stage manager.
Only the best. Only the best.
For those of you who don't know, we did have to come up with these creative solutions for these shows because we have students who are taking this as a class. Willa is getting her stage management technical practicum in college by stage managing these 2 shows.
Dolores.
Yeah. This one was more just out of Bree asked me to do it, and I was like, hell yeah, I'll do it.
I begged. Yeah, because
she still did the rehearsal reports, and I still read them. So
yeah. But I didn't even have to. I was like, since I'm doing this, do you want me to submit this for a grade? And she was like, sure, why not? You're doing it. And I was like, okay.
That guy,
I really just did it because
amended it.
My stage manager, and I was like, of course.
The guy I live with amended his note and says that he'll let you direct it, Willa, and he'll stage manage.
Ooh, that would be fun. That would be fun.
Willa just had her first assistant directing gig with Nick for The Dutchman, and Zoo Story was our show that for the first time in my life I took people's temperatures before they came into the theater.
That was fun too.
Yeah.
This whole thing has been a fun experience.
Yeah.
For you.
Every manifestation of social and safe distancing. All right, well, if there is no other questions, please let others know about our show, pass it along. There will be one more live performance this coming Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for those of you watching from somewhere else. We appreciate those of you who did stick it out with us or maybe are having watch parties, etc. in your homes with your
Sorry,
family.
the internet went.
I'm going to go off the live stream now. And
goodbye, everyone.
All right.